Now, without getting too crazy involved with explaining what compression does, let me just break it down simply what this compressor is doing to the drums. The compressor allows anything that passes the threshold that we set to come back down and level out and just even out the dynamics of the drums, or any sound for that matter, so that you have a smooth, controlled dynamic sound, overall sound, and that allows you to accent certain sounds. So for instance, let me explain it this way. If the kick drum is this much louder than our snare drum, when I lower the threshold, it's going to level that kick drum and snare drum to be at the same volume, so that when I raise up the overall output, they're more unified in volume or dynamics. So this is a great way to have anything that might stick out volume-wise or dynamic-wise in that loop or in that sound, and allow me to control that dynamic and just overall and get an overall balanced volume output from the compressor. So we're going to do that because I want to make sure that the snare isn't popping out way too loud from the kick, and also this gives me a great way to add some punchiness and some attack to those drums as well. So let's go ahead and do that now. So now that we have the compressor on the drums, let's go ahead and head right over to our threshold. Now the threshold allows us to determine how much of the audio or the signal we want to actually compress, or how much gain reduction we're actually applying. So for instance, right now we're at, let's say, negative 14.2 dB. So that means as soon as the audio passes negative 14.2 dB, it will begin to reduce that gain and compress that signal. So let's check it out. So you notice this little meter here in the middle showing you how much gain reduction is being done. That means how much gain is it pushing back down below the threshold. And the output determines how much volume is coming back out. So if I really want a lot of gain reduction done, if we want to lower the ceiling, so to speak, we would lower the threshold. So let's head over to our ratio. The ratio determines the strength of the compressor, how much compression is going to be done or applied to the signal that's being processed. So right now it's a 2-to-1 ratio. 2-to-1 ratio means that, hey, if there were two guys in the room and it's just one of you, there's possibly a better chance of them beating you up, kind of thing, right? So that's the strength of the compressor. So if we go up the higher ratio, we got 3-to-1, 5-to-1. Let's go even to something like like 5-to-1 compression. That means that more compression is being applied to the signal. That means it's a stronger compression, or a stronger processing of the compression is being applied. So and you can see it happen here. We're reducing a lot more gain. Now the attack and the release determines how fast the compressor attacks and how fast does the compression get released off of the signal. So for instance, a medium or a slow attack means that it's going to actually take a while for the compressor to act, and this results in a lot of punchiness. So if you want more punch or more direct, a direct approach to that signal, then you would have a slow attack. If you want less of the punch but maybe more of the back end of that signal, then you would have a quicker attack. So let's start with having a slow attack, and you might notice how the drums might come off a little bit more punchier when that happens. Now obviously we're not getting the same amount of gain reduction because it's just taking way too long for the compressor to take place. So let's scale that back and maybe give it a medium attack here. And let's contrast that with a very quick attack. So we notice we're getting a lot more gain reduction, a lot more compression happening, but it's doing something to the drums. It's taking away all the punchiness of the drums. And I get this a lot. A lot of people just say, oh, well, if it's on drums, that means, it's a really quick sound, so I should put my compression attack to very fast. Well, you're actually doing more harm than good if you're taking away all the punchiness by, putting a quick attack. So let's go back to having a medium attack here with that compressor, so that we can maintain the punchiness, but still scale back the dynamics of that, the overall drums. And the release is the same thing. The release determines how fast the compressor will let go. So you notice with the slow attack, everything's well balanced, but yet it also took away, it swallowed up the life of the drum. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a short release. There you go. So it just allows the drums to breathe a little bit more.